From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together there is no stopping us.
Together, there's no stopping us, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Adrian Zdunchik, CMT, Chart and Market Technician, CEO and founder at The Burb Nest. And I'm here joined by excellent legends. And there is so much of an excellent discussion to be had. And there is so much of wisdom that we are about to get from those very VIP gentlemen that we have with us. Justin Kramer, Matti Greenspan, Trent Stevens, and also Sultan. All those gentlemen come from an excellent company. And for our official partners are at The Burb Nest at Quantum Expeditions, or QX. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the session. How is it going? How are you doing, gentlemen?
Awesome. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pretty decent. Thanks for having us.
Doing good. Man. There you go. I see some beautiful beards right there, right? And in psychology, there is this saying, there is this mirroring effect, so that if we actually see people who look alike, who are similar to us, we tend to give them more sympathy. We tend to give them more of our appreciation and recognition. So I have no other choice but actually respect you gentlemen even more. And with Matti Greenspan, for everybody, we've known each other for quite some time already. There's been a couple of chats here and there, and I'm a big fan, big admirer of what Matti has always done. And now with Quantum Expeditions, I have so much more of the actual additional experience and value, right? So Matti and everybody, Trent, Justin, and Oz, welcome to the show again. And well, let's talk about Quantum Expeditions, shall we? What is it in the first place? What's the story behind this?
So I guess, what was this? It was about 2 years ago. We started looking at the mining market because Bitcoin was heating up again, and we were just kind of coming out of the doldrums of sort of a bust period. And we started kind of evaluating like what the American landscape was in terms of not just being able to set up miners and set up mining operations, but what made the most sense in terms of, energy consumption, trying to be green, and trying to build a business inside of, a complicated crypto landscape. And so Matti, Doug, and I came together and we started developing this. And over the course of, the past 18 months, we've brought Justin and Trent in, and we've merged with Badgerland Crypto. We have operational centers that we're popping up. And we're basically setting up for first mine deployment in January, and then building and scaling. We've got a crowdfund running right now, which is kind of exciting and a big opportunity for folks to get involved with, a smaller producer, which isn't, like one of the larger sort of listed mining companies that's out there. They're all carrying a significant amount of debt. And we've been able to dodge a lot of kind of complicated market pressures, finding ourselves in a position where price is really advantageous to us. The availability of power from a number of different sources is very advantageous to us, and we've got a really great team. So that's kind of like the short history. I mean, Matti, Doug, Trent, Justin, you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. We're here as a Bitcoin mining company. And we've decided that it's better to do it with other crypto friends. And this is how we were able to open up the crowdfund, where we've already made our first purchase of mining machines. And we're going to be deploying them over the holidays. So that's something to look forward to.
Right on, gentlemen. This is such a pleasure. I'm a layman. I'm a complete layman. I'm a complete noob in terms of anything mining. I never mined. Okay, I never mined. Never set any sort of facility for mining. Never had anything to do with it. So, would you give me a reason? Let's say, as a layman, as a complete noob, again, what can I get from Quantum Expeditions? Why should I care? In other words,
money. For the most part. I mean, That's what most investments are about. That's, mining Bitcoin is no different. It's a bit of a different game. I think, Trent can probably speak to this. And Doug mentioned his backstage also. I don't know if you're able to bring Doug up. Doug has a much nicer beard than my own, honestly, our CEO. But yeah, it's basically like, you can buy gold, right? But then you can mine gold as a different business altogether. And I think that, any self-respecting investor, should have gold in their portfolio. They should have Bitcoin in their portfolio, and they should have mining stocks as well. And as we've seen the price of Bitcoin rising today and over the last few months, over the last year, I think we're up about 115, 116% now from the beginning of the year. Bitcoin has been an amazing investment, and Bitcoin related stocks have been an amazing investment. And in this case, you're able to get in before we're actually deployed, which is, something that's not available for people who aren't VCs on a regular basis.
I love it. Okay. So mining, as a different sort of a business, right? And speaking of business, we are basically talking about the mining club merger, right? For the Texas mining. Is that right? What could you tell us more about your relationship with Texas?
Yeah,
Well, Doug could really speak to that.
Doug's the native Texan. He's got the accent. He's not backstage.
He's got the accent and he's not in the chat right now.
No, man. He was.
How did that happen?
let me maybe hop on that. So we've been excuse me, I'm getting over this viral thing. It's just nasty. We've been involved with the Texas Blockchain Council now for probably 2-3 years. We have been working with them and through them, as well as with resources that Doug has brought to bear in Texas to find, clean and sustainable sources of power that, are tying into wind and a bunch of solar, as well as the ERCOT grid and the non-ERCOT grid, which, means a lot to Texans, probably doesn't mean a lot to anyone outside of Texas. But what that means is that we've got a lot of diversity of access to power. We've been able to stand up, kind of the basics that you need that a lot of people talk about, but we've got the land, we've got the permits, we've got the transformers, we've got everything else set up. That facility is basically set up right now for a deployment. And the big thing that we've got is this crowd fund that's going on. And I think Madi kind of touched on it. You've got probably like 3 to 4 different crypto ETFs that are about to be authorized inside of the next couple of months. And at least the outlook from the SEC is pretty positive on that. And, not giving investment advice here, but what we are probably looking at market wise is once these ETFs start stepping into the fray and snapping up a lot of Bitcoin, what you're going to see is a lot of scarcity on the OTC desks inside of private markets, inside of private sellers. And what that's going to do is that's going to drive price. Scarcity always drives price. Madi's predictions are that it could easily go to 100, 150K by the end of next year. I think personally that if these ETFs get involved very aggressively and they start acquiring tranches of like 50 to 100,000 Bitcoin at a time, that you're probably going to see certain market spikes that come a little earlier. And, the utility case there is not necessarily saying, hey, take a look at us and invest, but there's a really big opportunity here. Being a company that's not carrying debt, being a company that's entering at a time where these machines cost 1/10 of what they cost 2 years ago. Like if you look at the S19s, the S19 Pros, and even all the way through the S21s, these miners at one point were like $9,000 a pop. They are 1/10 of that right now. And that affords us a tremendous opportunity of scale to get in here. That also opens a huge door for us in terms of what we can create from a fiduciary perspective, not just to our investors, but to the company. And then, we kind of have a little bit of a focus on giving back. I mean, it's not necessarily a B corporation by any means, but a lot of what we're looking at is, how can we kind of get more entrenched and more involved with things in West Texas, and how can we give back to the community a little bit? And you know, that's sort of our perspective and like how we're involved there. I'm sure Doug could talk to you, you know, for hours about, you know, how a lot of his family's involved. I mean, the one power company we're dealing with, his dad had bought power from back in like 45 or 47, you know, and when you mentioned his, yeah, when you mention his name, like there's streets named after some of his relatives in the area. And I think the best thing is he's got this cousin who makes these pies, which are everything from like apple pie and pecan pie to like brisket pie.
Oh
So
man.
if you guys ever manage your way down to Texas, we'd sure be happy to entertain you a little bit.
Oh man. And I'm just starving right now. Doug, what's the story? What? Give me the pie. What's that?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Pulling a Justin.
Yeah,
Glad that
Oz
can
and I
carry
have
over.
a mutual. My apologies. Am I too loud?
Easy.
You're good, man. You're good.
But
Go ahead.
Oz and I have a mutual acquaintance, and when Oz and Maddie started this whole venture, and they gave me a call and looking for some flared gas, and so that's kind of how I got involved. But long story short, we ended up in an area my cousin's been building in the construction business for 50 years, and everybody in the county knows him in multiple counties. And so when I asked his daughter, my second cousin, you know, about, we were told to get directly to a substation would be the best solution. And so the next thing you know, we're talking to the power company, and they've got substations. And I told my dad who we were talking to, and he said, "Oh, I remember them. My dad put me on his shoulder back in 1940 and carried me down to the schoolhouse to talk to the power company to bring power to our family farm for the first time." And
Wow.
yeah, so, and my dad just turned 95 last month.
Wow.
So,
Happy birthday to that then.
yeah. Yeah, we're very blessed. Yeah, y'all
Did
gonna
you-
have to put up
did you
with me
have pie
for
for his birthday?
more. Pardon me?
Did you have any pie on his birthday?
Yeah. Well, we did make it over to Abilene a while back, but not for the company. But yeah, I took my dad out there. His stick is the home of the sweet heat, but he makes a really good key lime jalapeno pie, as well as some
Wow.
others. Yeah,
Jalapeno
he's
pie.
got that blueberry habanero. That's what he's known for. There's a sweet
Wow.
heat. Anyway, so
Now
we
that's- Please.
you know, at the end of the day, the power company said they wanted to do business with someone local, and you know, there's a road named after my granddaddy just a mile west of their office, and they drive down that road. And so when they found out, you know, how we're all connected, and my cousin is already approved to do construction on the power company's locations. I mean, it's just like what I call a divine intervention. Some people call it luck, karma, whatever you want to call it. You know, we ended up in a great place, great location, and we're really, really pleased how it all worked out.
There we go. I love divine integration. Yeah, I love the power and the message that has been there, you know, since ages, right? Even before I went bald, actually. So such a long time. Love. I'm really loving the start of this excellent journey in this discussion, right? Heading off the pies, and now we are into the energy fields and the actual environmental impact. So speaking of which, what's the environmental impact? What's the energy sources that you guys use up there?
And I want to also say that since we started this conversation, the price of Bitcoin has been going up like nonstop. I don't know if you guys have your monitors on and stuff. But
I think it's because of the pies.
it could be. I called for 40K today. I knew that was a stretch. I didn't think we were going to actually hit it that fast. We'll see.
Let's continue the conversation, shall we?
Yeah.
Look, pies. We have several stretch goals on the crowdfund on the WeFunder page. You can see if we're able to raise $500,000 just off this campaign cumulatively from all investors. We're going to produce a board game called Texas Mining Giant, which will be like a collaborative, competitive game. And everybody who's deposited at least $100 is going to be eligible to get that game for cost price. And then if we manage to raise $1 million cumulatively from all investors, we're going to have a giant desert rave, Bitcoin mining rave party, and just celebrate Bitcoin mining the way it should be, with beverages and special treats and stuff like that, and guests and live music and all that fun stuff. It'd be awesome to see you there as well, Adrian.
Oh man, don't need to ask me twice. I'm there.
Awesome. And I think we should have pies. Maybe not necessarily. Maybe that we could add that as a new stretch goal, right? If we're able to reach X amount, we should have some pie.
Pie party. Sounds like me. That's right. We've got excellent people coming in the chat. There are already some questions flooding. Let's not keep them waiting, and actually answer some of those towards the end of the show, while actually having got to know the energy. Let's talk a little bit short a bit about the environmental impact and the energy, right? So what is the actual environmental impact? Let's talk about it, shall we?
Well, one of our goals as a mining company is to get rid of flared gas and monetize it. And so we've been working really hard to get into that field, and it's going to be great being able to eliminate that gas.
Right on.
There's
So that's one of the sources.
And as far as the environmental impact goes, like we'll be on grid, off grid, and things like that. But people look at Bitcoin, and the narrative around it is Bitcoin's bad. Bitcoin's bad for the environment. Mining Bitcoin's just a way for greedy people to make money and pollute the environment, all that stuff. When in reality, over half of the energy used to mine Bitcoin is renewable energy. When in reality, these companies, because the name of the game in mining crypto or mining Bitcoin is a low electric rate. So renewables obviously lower your electric rate. So these companies invest substantially into renewable energy. So it actually accelerates the renewables, the development, the technology, all that stuff, so that they can get a lower price, but then everybody benefits from that technology that got developed for Bitcoin mining. So it's the narrative that doesn't get told, but it will, just because it is what it is. So
one of the other things that we do is there's excess power that's on the grid. And what we do is we go in, and the excess power, we use that power, and it's called stabilizing the grid. And what it does is when we get into the peak and the hot part of the season, we're able to, it's called an interruptible rate, and we're able to shut down, and or if there's an emergency or something, and we're able to give that power back to the community. And so it's a great way to give back.
I love it. Okay, so there's an actual mission, right? There's a feeling of an actual mission in terms of delivering back to the community, which makes a lot of sense, right? Using those sources in large part overall, otherwise, renewable. That makes a lot of sense, right? Still, what I'm, again, just putting myself in a complete layman's shoes, right? The question I may have and ask myself is, why should I go for QX? Why should I go for quantum expeditions? What's different about them?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are many different ways of investing in crypto mining. You can, in the olden days, like when Bitcoin was new, I remember you could just do it with a laptop, right? Just run it overnight, and you have a few thousand Bitcoins in the morning, and then like a plebe, you sell them for a few bucks. These days, it's a lot more complicated. They've got special machines called ASIC, which are application-specific devices. And they are the only ones who are able to competitively mine Bitcoin. So you can buy one of those yourself. They're awfully loud. I mean, if you put it in your kitchen or something, it'll warm the house up, but they make a lot of noise. And depending on where you live, you probably won't be able to have energy prices like we're able to access. So these days, most Bitcoin mining is done in the United States. doing massive deals and then building massive facilities where they fill them with ASIC miners, just like you see in Doug's background. Instead of those Bitcoins, they're actually like just machines that are mining Bitcoin all day. I'm sure you've seen the pictures of Bitcoin mining factories. So if you want to get involved in one of these, you could buy shares in one of the ones that are already successful. But I would posit, your return on that is going to be only so because the valuation is already baked in. People already know more or less how they're going to grow. So less risk, less reward at the end of the day. And then there are other kind of Bitcoin mining startups who I think it's a bit silly, but then they want to sell you a JPEG or an NFT or something like that, and that is or a token, and that's going to give you like a portion of the hash rate or something like this, and like you're like, as an investor, you can't really understand what your return on investment is going to be. The way we've structured this using traditional financial rails in order to avoid any sort of regulatory hurdles, because we're aiming to be $1 billion company, and you can't do that in the United States and have an NFT project or token associated with it. You're just asking for trouble from the SEC. Whereas we're using regulation crowdfund to sell securities to investors, which is under the auspices of the traditional system, and there's no issues with that as far as the sale is concerned. It's all registered with the SEC, not regulated by the SEC, but registered. We have to file a Form C with the SEC, which is done through WeFunder. So in this way, a person, any investor from the comfort of their own home can invest in a very early stage company which is slated for growth with as little as $100, and you're actually getting a piece of the company. Those certificates that you're buying will convert into preferred shares in the company.
There you go. I mean, I appreciate the explanation, Matthew. Right, and I'm just reading.
I think the important thing to note too about the preferred share is what preferred shares versus common shares means. Because honestly, I wasn't quite entirely sure when I came on board. But what preferred shares are is basically anything tangible that the company has that we liquidate. Preferred shares would get paid out essentially. So that's what that means. So like we have 144 miners coming in. If those got liquidated, that would get paid out. So
okay. So that brings me an association of certain level of safety, if you will, certain level of security, right? Certain level of fairness. Speaking of which, right, there's probably a whole chapter about the safety part, right? So what is a safe? What is a safe?
Yeah, safes is an invention of Y Combinator, which is a very well-known venture capital firm. And what it stands for is simple agreement for future equity, right? And this is very common for startups who don't have a valuation yet, right? A valuation is basically the market cap, as we know in crypto. Total number of shares times the price per share equals the market cap. However, in startups, when there hasn't been a valuation yet, investors want to get involved, and the valuation will only happen later on. The valuation generally happens during a Series A, right? When a lot of VCs get involved, they'll do a valuation of the company, an appraisal, and then they'll say, okay, this is what the valuation should be, or an IPO, for example. An IPO is a valued round as well. So the safe certificates, what they do is they say whatever the venture capital firms or whatever the next valued round is going to be, that's the valuation that you're going to get as well, except that you have a valuation cap, meaning that there's a maximum amount that you're going to pay. Obviously, as an investor, you want to buy low and sell high, right? So if the valuation that happens during the next round is, let's say, double or triple what the valuation cap that you're getting, right? Then you're going to double, triple your money in a single day when that valuation round happens.
So it is actually safe, right? safe accreditation, safe certificate. That actually stands for safe. Surprise,
Beautiful
surprise,
from
everybody.
Y Combinator. This is a beautiful marketing tactic.
Simple agreement of future equity. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. I like it even more, right? And I'm reading off your beautiful website, by the way, right? For everybody who's watching that, consider going actually and visiting their beautiful website at Quantum. It's going to be at quantumexpeditions.com, right? And I have a surprise. It's a simple term, simple yet very lovely because it's easy to remember. Quantumexpeditions.com, QX for short. And I'm reading off your beautiful website, and what I'm reading is by building a strong community of certified Bitcoin mining experts and leveraging their expertise, we aim to unlock new market opportunities, ensuring consistent growth and robust returns. So that certification, right? That is, I think, what is often missing in this nonchalant, crazy Wild West space, right? The lack of accreditation, the lack of certification. So if again, putting me in the layman's shoes, right? What sort of certification, how does that look like? How does the process look like? What are the guarantees, if you will?
So, I mean, a lot of the guarantees that you think about inside of this project is we're not a high operational overhead company. I mean, most of what comes in, I would say probably like 90% of what comes into the company is going to actual physical deployment of miners, operational technology that we're going to need, data center hosting and management. So the money that we're taking in is going directly to the application of putting more horsepower in place to mine more Bitcoin. If you're to compare us to, I think there's three other types of players. There's like the small players where folks have a couple of machines, and that's great. You're making a couple of bucks a day, but that's not something that's scalable. Then you've got some of the mid-tier players that are out there. A lot of them have spent, money into data center build out and acquired considerable amounts of debt. They've got interesting capitalization structures. In many cases, they've got a lot of participants in the equity pool, making it a little, cumbersome. So operationally, they're a little limited in terms of like what their growth perspectives are. And then you've got the large traded companies that are out there. All of these companies over the course of the past 18 months have had to refinance tremendous amounts of debt. Simply because they went in and they bought miners and they built expansions, even in Texas. If you go closer to Austin, there's some pretty big implementations, but each one of those facilities is carrying a tremendous amount of debt, and their break even on Bitcoin is still inside of the $45,000 range, and they've been operating at a loss for several years. So when you look at someone like us, and you look at like us coming to market and getting in there and trying to build something that, one, we kind of like the ethos of Web3. We like the opportunity to be a little bit more decentralized, a little bit more collaborative, right? And that's where we're doing the crowdfund and looking to engage in a couple different ways. But we're also looking at that with our facilities and our facilities architecture. So we're looking at Texas. We're also looking at a couple other locations. And the long-term plan, I think, as Maddie said this, is to build and grow a company that becomes very successful over the course of time, that can pay out, Bitcoin dividends in significant amounts. And really kind of achieves the goals of what anyone wants when they're investing in a company like this. We don't have, the complicated overhead of kind of like that middle group companies I told you about. We don't have those debt loads. And what we have is a very innovative team, that pulls from a huge host of different areas that are really required to make this thing successful, from Trent and managing and operating these, and Justin in building these and setting these things up, and Doug inside of the power, and myself and Maddie in terms of, kind of architecture and government relations and putting together, some of the relationships that we really need to make this succeed. I think we've got a pretty solid team, and we're obviously going to grow and expand as this thing goes forward. But I think that's kind of like, maybe a quick synopsis as to like why this makes a sensible investment. But it's also really smart, for folks who are actually looking to get in before the ETF rush. to maybe take a gander at us and see what they think.
And the sleeping giant, the Ordinals, right? Ordinals, I mean, they're still in their diapers, and they've already paid more than 3,100 Bitcoin in transaction fees to miners. So I don't know if you remember when Ordinals first came out and there was an initial spike. People who were mining Bitcoin at the time, I mean, they just saw their revenues like double, even triple in that 1 week. So yeah, I mean, I believe that I'm a big fan of this new direction of crypto, and I believe that it's gonna turn into a standard similar to what we've seen on Ethereum. I'm holding a few frogs myself, for full disclosure. So yeah, that pays money directly to Bitcoin miners as well.
Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense. And speaking of, again, just you mentioned ordinals, right? Again, I'm a complete layman. Why don't you explain to me like I'm not 5, like I'm 3?
For Ordinals? Yeah. So Ordinals are like NFTs, but on Bitcoin. So basically, you can take an image and you save it on the Bitcoin blockchain. You inscribe it onto a Satoshi, and then if you spend that Satoshi or you send that Satoshi to somebody else's wallet, then they have ownership of that image. It could be an image, it could be a text, it could be a data file, it could be an audio file, anything, any kind of data can be inscribed onto Bitcoin through the Ordinal.
Gotcha. Again, that makes a lot of sense, and this was just a little bit of a hat tip to everybody who's watching and listening. If you guys are here for the first time, we are actually unlocking the secrets of Bitcoin mining in form of an AMA Ask Me Anything session with QX Quantum Expeditions. And we have all those legends: Justin Kramer, we've got Matty Greenspan, Trent Stevens, all Sultan and Doug Hardwick, to actually answer all of the questions. So if you have any of those, feel free to actually drop those questions in the chat. Make sure while you're there to actually hit the subscribe, smash the notification bells. You know the drill. We need those algos to get bumped, because those great legends deserve so much more recognition. Those legends deserve so much more stage, actually, because, well, speaking of safe, speaking of all those actual safety, all those protocols in order to make sure that the investment is actually fully covered, licensed, and legal, going by the book, which it is, that makes a whole lot of sense to dig deeper, right? Because the mining Bitcoin these days, just like Mati highlighted, just like Osmo highlighted as well, is not as easy anymore, right? And you need to have those credible, reliable people. And I couldn't do it myself, right? So if I need mining, the first people I would ever go to will be probably Quantum Expeditions, right? So speaking of the investment part, what is the actual size of the investment? Who can apply for such an investment?
So anybody can apply for the investment. So you're either accredited or unaccredited. So unaccredited investors can do up to 2,500 with a minimum of 100. Accredited can do anywhere from 100 up to the 1.235, I believe, is the limit.
I got you. Let me bring on the website real quick for everybody's notice. And while you're there, I highly recommend that you actually follow Quantum Expeditions, our official partners at the Burb Nest, at QNTM Expeditions, They are on Twitter and aiming to become the $1 billion company for mining in Texas that is fully again licensed, secure, safe. That makes actually a good bet and a no-brainer deal to sign up and subscribe for all their channels.
One of the things we did when you were talking about the investment and the minimums and all. So, and you can go to the WeFunder site to see, what qualifies for accredited and non-accredited. But the limit for non-accredited is 2,500. Well, the good thing that we did is that we made the Ordinal available. So if you invest $2,500 or more, then you get that Ordinal. So that's plus a lot of merch and whatnot, which you'll see here on the website. Really cool.
Yeah, we're coming out with a limited edition Badger, a Bitcoin Badger Ordinal that'll be minted and inscribed on Bitcoin. So anybody with an investment of $2,500 is going to get that along with the the recipe for Doug's pies. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but you got to come on the Discord for Doug's pie recipe. You can. We're on the Discord all day long, by the way. This is where we're building this. I mean, this is, like true degens, we're just on the voice channel, the entire day long. So anybody can come to discord.quantumexpeditions.com if you want to talk to us. If you have any questions, I see some people with excellent questions on the chat that we haven't gotten to yet. If we can get to some, I'd be happy. But also, if you've got some other questions, you're welcome to come on in.
Right on. I think that actually makes this is an excellent recommendation. Why don't we answer a couple of those, right? So there's one from Eric H, which is an excellent community member of ours. And the question is, what do you think of El Salvador using volcanic energy to mine? What's your take?
I'll take that one.
PFP.
I think it's a smart play. It's a geothermal play, and they're going to have to add geothermal capacity to it. It's got fixed costs in terms of deployment. It's got reduced costs in terms of long-term operation, but you can get some big clogs with those steam pipes and things going on. It's a great way for them to leverage what they have in terms of tremendous geothermal power right now. And it's really novel because I'll tell you what, I split time between New York and Philadelphia, and the only other place that's doing geothermal mining is central Pennsylvania. They've got that up and running too. It's smart. It's just, the upfront capital to get one of those facilities running is a lot.
I got you. Okay. I was also having a question and seeing some sort of like a question, right? Because there is a lot of ways to determine the actual cost of mining, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is QX's basic strategy? How do you quantify what the actual cost of mining is?
What our cost of mining is, or just in general how you calculate profit and
let me rephrase, right? So even for myself, whenever I search for the mining production costs, every website I see shows a different quote, right? And that makes a lot of sense because at times, there is a different index measures, there's different electricity costs and so on and so forth, right? What is your take? How you actually measure the production costs for yourself?
So the biggest reason that you see a lag or differences between the different calculators is because they all update all the different variables at different times. So if you're ever looking at ASIC miner value or any of the other ones, if they're different, it's most likely because the Bitcoin price hasn't updated, the miner price hasn't updated, difficulty hasn't updated, something like that. So we really stay on top of updated numbers and do our own calculations daily, or essentially daily, just to see where we're at, see what things are trending, and things like that. So we're looking at our electric rate, we're looking at what our overhead will be, everything that goes into the calculus.
Okay, got you. So what is like right now in terms of the profitability? What are your expectations of profitability right after the halving for the general mining industry? Yeah.
So for the general mining industry, it's going to be a bloodbath after. So there are 40% of the miners out there right now. Well, I guess it's gone up, so it's probably a little less, probably 30 to 35%, somewhere in there, are basically older generation model miners. So like S19, something like that, not the S21s or the M60s that just came out. So they're on the older generation model miner, and they're mining at 7.5 or 8 cents. So that's 33% of the network that's almost unprofitable instantly after the halving.
That goes back to what we were talking about with depth. And Justin, maybe you want to articulate on that more. You have a number of companies right now that are trading that, are looking real good because of the price of Bitcoin. But the moment that the halving happens, they are underwater in terms of what they've paid for these machines and what they're mining at and what they're trying to get from their yield threshold. So the only option that they're going to have is to deploy newer, cheaper miners but they're still going to be carrying a tremendous amount of debt. And the question you have to ask yourself about a lot of those large companies is what's going to happen with that? I mean, are they going to be able to pay it? Are they going to be able to default it? Are they going to have to write it down? In any one of those cases, that makes them kind of a quizzical investment. But when you look at upstarts like us, you know, that have spent the time, have built the relationships, have worked with the states, have talked through the regulatory process, have made the friends, you know, there's very little risk, excuse me, with us versus that. But, you know, Justin, maybe you want to even touch on that.
Yeah, I think too, like the biggest thing is once the halving comes, we'll watch it really, really close, but I'm not going to lose sleep over whether or not we're profitable. Like, so that's what is the most important thing to me, is being profitable through the halving as difficulty goes up and then down, up and then down. So it's, people are going to be turning on and off miners like crazy. We're just going to be mining full steam ahead that whole time.
Or the price of Bitcoin can go to the moon and everybody's going to make money. But look, I actually, the way that I see Bitcoin mining, like people like to think about it as like a competition or something like this, but it's really not. The Bitcoin mining industry is super collaborative. We take phone calls every day with people who, for all intents and purposes, they should be our competitor and they shouldn't be talking to us. Same thing that Erica was asking about the Bitcoin mining volcanoes in El Salvador, and we spoke with Samson Mao about that, who's organizing the Bitcoin bond. And I wish them, the best of success, because there's so much value creation here that there's quite plenty for everybody. Unfortunately, it's not the same level that you could do it with a laptop anymore, and therefore, in order to get involved, you need and get your foot in the door, there needs to be some form of substantial investment. And what we're doing is basically pulling the community together to get to that level where we can all do it together, and we can all see the fruits of that without necessarily going through the traditional route of the VCs and everything like that. We're in touch with them as well, and I believe that we're going to see future funding through other avenues rather than just through the crowdfund. But this is, to me, an exciting opportunity to share with the community that everybody will be able to get involved in a way that I think most people are just not able to anymore, the way that I was able to back in the beginning.
Beautiful times, and I actually cannot wait any longer until Bitcoin actually shoots right into the moon, which statistically, seasonally, historically, and all of those ickly reasons, taken into consideration, it actually looks very probable, right? So that's probably a good time to get engaged. Even our free trading congress, this virtual trade camp that we did for traders, for thousands of people, our slogan has always been the best time is now, because it literally the best time is now, right? To get engaged into crypto, to get a share of the pie, basically in crypto or in crypto related projects, because in the end of the day, if Bitcoin pumps, just like you said, the whole industry pumps and everybody enjoys, right? Including and involving quantum expeditions. So having a couple of minutes left, gentlemen, and for everybody who's watching and listening, there's a lot of appreciation and a lot of admiration that I have always had for the miners, and that I always am going to have basically for quantum expeditions, right? Because I know Matti for quite a bit. Again, for everybody who's not aware, Matti is a very, very big person in the space, and there's always a very big chunk of expertise that you need to have in order to know and get a taste of what is what in this industry that is otherwise full of scammers and those fake gurus, and everybody is going to tell you, you're going to get rich overnight, and there are no holy grails. Still, what you seek in terms of in the days of chaos, in days of uncertainty, when there's so much of uncertainty, you seek reliability, you seek consistency, you seek discipline, you seek those long-term trends that actually help you get the profitable in terms of the strategy, right? So having just a couple of minutes left, like I said, what are those stretch goals? You mentioned a couple of times the term stretch goals, and how does it all help us to get engaged into starting mining?
Thanks a lot, Adrian. I appreciate the kind words, like from the bottom of my heart. And the way that you see me, I mean, this is how I see this team as well. All the guys that are up on the stage here for sure, and our support as well. The entire team, the entire extended team, is top notch. Yeah, I mean, the stretch goals you can see on the website. There are 2 stretch goals, and then there's investment tiers as well. So in tiers means how much you're putting in. It's important to remember that what you're getting is the investment itself, which is the access to the shares. The perks and the stretch goals, those are just fun. Really, like they're extras that getting a T-shirt or a hoodie or something like that you can show the world, hey, I'm involved in this, or an ordinal with a badge or PFP that you can put up, and which they're pretty cool. We're gonna start dropping those and doing a few giveaways pretty soon. And then of course I think it'd be a lot of fun to do a rave in the desert with some of these guys and yourself and some of the people that we've spoken with along the way. James Pelton and Yabonks and Gav from Wolf Finance. I think these people that we've been speaking with about this project, and I think that it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we've been having fun this entire time. So yeah.
Oh man, you're getting me excited right there. So for what is what, probably we all want to have some party in the desert. We all want to have a taste of what the pie is actually, what a pie is. While I'm speaking for myself, though, plenty of people love good pie, so I'm pretty positive it's gonna be easy for everybody to cheer and celebrate. And still, having all those legends in the room, having Justin Kramer, Trent Stevens, Matty Greenspan, and Oz Sultan, along with Doc Hudwick. What is the main takeaway message? How can we get engaged? Where should people go and seek the information on how to get started in terms of the mining?
Matty?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, the website quantumexpeditions.com. And then, of course, you see the brown button there that says join the crowdfund. And then the Discord. I don't know why the Discord's not on the website right now. It should be on the top. I guess it's not. I'll have to fix that later this evening. It's discord.quantumexpeditions.com. And that's where the community is. That's where we're talking about the price of Bitcoin every day and all the geeky stuff about, the specs of the miners, the way that we're choosing deployment. That's all happening both on the text and the voice chat right there. And of course, the NFTs, the ordinals that we're producing, all that stuff. That's where the magic happens. So if you want to be part of the community, that's definitely the place to be and get involved.
Love it so much. Right on. And Discord community is where all those legends reside on a daily basis. Just like Matti said, there's a lot of geekness in this, which is what we love, which is what the crypto folks love. This is who we are. This is what we do. We are geeks. We are crazy folks. We are crazy people who deal with a lot of internet magic money. And at times it brings us poverty. However, if you can use it, if you have people like Matty Greenspan, if you have people like Justin Kramer, Trent Stevens, or Sultan and Doug Hudwick, this is not really, going anywhere else than probably upper and righter, to the up and to the right side. This is a little bit of a shout out again to everybody who's tuned in and listened to our great AMA session, because we've just unlocked quite a couple of secrets of Bitcoin mining along with the team of QX, the Quantum Expeditions. And again, huge shout out again for the wealth of knowledge that you gentlemen brought to the table. Myself being a layman, I think I'm just a little bit of a less of a layman right now already, thanks to you. For everybody who wants to get engaged, again, please make sure you actually go and visit the website at quantumexpeditions.com. There's a whole, just like Matty said and highlighted, the whole brown button for the join the crowdfund. And there is a whole bunch of benefits that you may get out of that in the good time, because timing is everything. Timing the decisions is everything. One of the reasons most of the traders go, bottom up, basically the other way, or tits up, if some people say, is timing wrong. Timing wrong. The good decisions that are timed wrongly are actually bad decisions, right? So it's actually a good time to get engaged again, right ahead of the third wave, just like the Elliott wave.
I have no idea how much that actually plays into our decision is the timing. It
That's
literally
it.
alluded to that earlier, but I can't stress it enough. People who bought their miners a year and a half ago, those miners are now have depreciated in value. Buying the miners now that they're the cheapest point and the price is going up, this is why we chose to deploy right now rather than a year and a half ago. This is the perfect reason that everything happens for a reason.
A lot of this is just it's smart timing. It's a smart team. It is, as you say, it's a bunch of nerds playing with internet money. But we see the big opportunity here to build internet money for a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't be able to get involved in something like this. And it's not like one of these small scale fly by night schemes where it's like, hey, put a couple grand into a couple of miners and they're sitting someplace in Slovenia. I mean, all of this stuff is in the United States. Everything that we're doing is SEC regulated. And what we're looking to do is to really build yield for our investors. And we're really interested in building a crowd community, because at the end of the day, if you really think about this, whether it's NFTs or crypto, it's really the community that drives and builds these things. And that's what we want. We want to build something really successful, really holistic, really engaged, that gives anyone inside of, the Web3 ecosystem the opportunity to get involved and to reap some benefit over the course of time.
That's right. Couldn't agree more. Community is everything in this space. And speaking of community, please make sure you actually are part of community for our partners at Quantum Expeditions, and you're going to find them at QNTM Expeditions, And while you're there, make sure you actually hit the follow button. If you have any questions, they have their DMs open, so feel free to rush them a DM as well if you will. Otherwise, I think this is a perfect wrap for the discussion, unless you have one golden takeaway, one golden call to action, one golden tip that you'd like to leave our viewers and listeners with.
I just want to say thank you very much, Adrian, for your time today and for these awesome and kind words. And it really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is mine. The pleasure is actually mine. If you go ahead, again, make sure
join a great community.
Oh, that's it. Having Doug on board.
I'm going to say join a great community, of miners, because we really do have the experience of mining with Trent and with Badger, Justin there. Actual hands-on mining experience. You've got Oz with tons of data experience. Maddie's got all of the blockchain, and that covers, I think, everything from NFTs to Bitcoin. Else, the knowledge base that he has is just phenomenal. And
that's right.
And the Burb Nest is an awesome community as well. Honestly, like the whole crypto space is quite an awesome community. And I've been here since 2013, and the community keeps growing and it keeps getting better. And we all have our differences, and we all have fights every once in a while. But there's one thing that connects us, and that is the desire for freedom of money, the desire to pursue personal wealth, and the desire to see a financial system that's built on values that contribute to that. And that's why we're here at the end of the day, and that's what we're doing.
And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is possible thanks to Quantum Expeditions at QNTM Expeditions. And that's a wrap of today's excellent session. And our guests have been Justin Kramer, Matti Greenspan, Doug Hardwick, Oz Sultan, and Trent Stevens. And I've been your host, Adrian Zdunchik, CMT Charter Market Technician. Or some people call me CryptoBurb, the bald bearded guy. That's what it is. This has been an excellent session. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Until the next one.
Thanks,
Greg.
Thank you.